We're joined now by Sam Ward, who is the founder of the esports training development company, Valor. Sam, tell us a bit about what you do at Valor.
So essentially we have taken how you train as an athlete and turned it into a platform for gamers. So rather than playing for 8 hours a day to get really good, we're trying to figure out how you can do that in 90 minutes a day. So how do you train to be a really high level athlete? Take that same science and apply it to gaming.
How do you do it? I mean, don't give away any, secret sauce, but like in general terms, how?
It's isolating skills and understanding the progression through a journey for a gamer, just the same way if I was playing tennis, what order do I need to learn skills in to maximize my time on the court? We're just doing that for gaming. So a lot of research has gone into how we do what we do, and then it's around the learning models to make sure that you learn in the right order.
Now, we had a question from the audience during today's session from a lady, Demelza, from Beda. And Demelza was talking about, a real fear that a lot of people have that the humanity is sort of being stripped away. Like if the robots take over, what happens to the humans? Now, obviously, when it comes to esport, what's your initial response to something like that? And do you have, I suppose, some words of reassurance about how esport and humanity, how there can be a balance that's found?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is 100% it can be a concern and I think it's usually from the outside when you haven't been part of the gaming community before. I think there are a lot of positives to gaming around communication if it's done correctly. I think the other part to this is what we saw today, that people are fans of not just one thing anymore but multiple things, and it's about sports integrating that into their journey of, if I can integrate gaming as part of the social scene within my sport, that's going to more help it outside of just playing on the field together and those social integrations. The other part is being pretty realistic in the fact that a lot of young people aren't into the same kind of social activities as we were even 10, 20 years ago. That social interaction's got to be different, and I think that's where gaming can exist. And it can also be used for a team collaboration tool. We've run team building exercises with some companies during COVID when no one could actually work together in physical spaces. We did it in the virtual world to build teamwork essentially, and then those same people took that away to continue doing what they do in the real world.
And have you found that esports is actually an avenue for people of all different abilities from all different walks of life to participate to a greater extent in sport than otherwise they might not be able to?
Yeah, so my best example of this is I was at a school graduation and the year 12 captain was physically disabled, and he said in his keynote speech that for the first time in his whole life in that year 12 year, when the esports program was started at his school, was he able to compete at the same level as one of his mates who was one of the better athletes at the school, and said it was the first time I ever played a match in a sport or a competitive environment and got to shake hands at the end as an equal athlete. So I think that's the example of where the power in gaming is. It's just managing that and understanding, it is a pretty wild industry right now, and just putting some boundaries around how we channel it in the right direction.
And my understanding is that Valor, that's something you're really passionate about, is putting those boundaries in there so you have a safe and healthy environment for people to be able to participate, get the joy, but not have any of the sort of the negativity, yeah?
Yeah, I would say my biggest passion is around people excelling in something they dream about. So having a dream to be a professional gamer now is a real thing. I just want it to be done in a healthy way, but also achieved. And I also want that, the space does need to be safer. And I think schools are starting to get integrated, government organizations are starting to be integrated, and that's what they're going to help bring in there as well. But it just requires some upgrade in technology and also some further investment from people to manage that. And education is going to be huge around how you behave as a human being online.
Absolutely. Hey, what about from Rick's talk? I mean, you and Rick had a great interchange, talking back and forth. You've got some great expert knowledge in the domain of esport. You and Rick engaged beautifully for all the audience to see. How did you enjoy the chat with Rick?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I think Rick makes a lot of jokes about his age and where he's at, but he seems to understand it pretty well. The big conversation is around gaming and how it can be used to leverage traditional sport rather than hurt it. And I think that was really, it was exciting to hear it from someone at his level, that kind of where I think it's going is validated in a sense, which was awesome for me to be able to hear that and kind of go away and keep putting that pressure down, the foot down with a startup that we need to put down. So yeah, it's great.
Excellent stuff. Sam Ward from Valor, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.